Okay, picture this. It's the 1960s in the Philippines, and suddenly a terrifying new illness appears out of nowhere. People are getting hit with horrific diarrhea, they're losing weight at an alarming rate, and then they're dying. Nobody has a clue what's causing it, but it is spreading, and it's spreading fast.
I mean, can you even imagine the fear? When there are no scientific answers, people look for other explanations. The local communities were so terrified and so desperate, they decided this wasn't an illness at all. It was a supernatural curse. They actually started hiring witch doctors, trying to perform rituals to calm down an angry river god they believed was responsible.
And this wasn't just a few isolated cases. The situation was absolutely dire. In just that first big outbreak back in 1967, 77 people died. That staggering number meant this wasn't just some local tragedy anymore. It was a full-blown public health emergency. So the question had to shift from superstition to science. What was really behind this so-called curse?
Well, as investigators dug in, they realized the cause wasn't a curse at all. It was something biological, something very real, hiding in plain sight. So let's pull back the curtain and meet the microscopic villain of our story.
The culprit has a name, Capillaria philippinensis. So what is it? It's an endoparasite, which is just a sciencey way of saying it lives inside its host. And it's not some simple single-celled thing. No, this is a metazoan, a complex, multicellular animal, specifically a type of roundworm called a nematode, and its favorite place to live is burrowed deep inside the lining of a person's small intestine.
Now stick with me for a quick bit of biology because this part is super important. To really get what this parasite is, you need to see its family tree. It's a roundworm, part of the phylum Nematoda. But here's the key detail. It's a very close cousin to the common whipworm, Trichuris trichura. And that family resemblance, it turned out to be a massive problem for doctors trying to figure out what was going on.
And this is why. This is where it gets really tricky. The only way to diagnose the infection is to find the parasite's eggs, but they look dangerously similar to the eggs of that more common, less deadly whipworm. It's like a high-stakes game of spot the difference under a microscope. You have to notice the subtle clues. The Capillaria philippinensis eggs are kind of peanut-shaped with flat ends, while the whipworm eggs are more barrel-shaped with plugs that stick out. Getting this right is absolutely critical.
So, we've identified our culprit, but that just brings up an even bigger question. I mean, most intestinal worms just don't cause such a rapid, deadly disease. So what makes Capillaria philippinensis so different? What makes it so dangerous? Well, it turns out it has a secret weapon. This is the exact question that completely stumped the first investigators. How on earth can a worm infection go from just a few worms to a massive, overwhelming army inside one person? An army that can kill you in just a matter of weeks. The answer is buried in its bizarre and frankly terrifying life cycle. So, the life cycle starts out pretty standard for a parasite, right? An infected person passes eggs into the environment through their stool. Those eggs get into fresh water, where they're eaten by little fish. Inside the fish, the larvae grow. Then, a person eats that fish raw or maybe undercooked, and boom, they're infected. But this is where the story takes a very, very sinister turn. And this is it. This is the secret weapon. It's a process called autoinfection. You see, the female worms produce two different kinds of eggs. The normal, thick-shelled ones get passed out to continue the cycle in the environment. But the other kind, the thin-shelled eggs, they stay behind. They actually hatch inside the gut, and the brand new larvae immediately burrow right back into the intestinal wall. It's a vicious feedback loop. The parasite builds its own internal army, and the number of worms just explodes. It's not just an infection, it's a hyperinfection.
So, with this massive army of worms literally chewing up the intestines, the damage is, as you can imagine, severe. So what does that actually feel like for a patient? And how do doctors today recognize the signs of this invisible invasion that was once a total mystery?
Honestly, the symptoms are just brutal. Patients have relentless watery diarrhea and terrible abdominal pain. One really distinct clue is something called borborygmi, that's extremely loud stomach gurgling that you can actually hear from across a room. As the worms destroy the gut, the body just can't absorb nutrients anymore. This leads to that catastrophic weight loss and muscle wasting. And if it's not treated, it can lead to fatal complications like heart failure, all because the body has been starved of essential proteins and electrolytes.
So, to make a diagnosis, you have to find the smoking gun. And the gold standard is still looking at a stool sample under a microscope. Lab technicians are on the hunt for these very specific, peanut-shaped eggs. Finding just one of them is all it takes to confirm the infection. And let's zoom in here so you can see what they're looking for. See those little lines running across the shell? That's called striation.
And notice how the ends are really flat, almost like little plugs pushed in. These tiny details are what allow a trained professional to tell Capillaria philippinensis apart from its cousins and make a diagnosis that can save a person's life.
Okay, I know, that was all pretty grim. But here is the really good news. What was once seen as an inescapable deadly curse is now a completely treatable, and even better, preventable disease. Modern medicine has figured out exactly how to fight back.
The treatment is really a two-pronged attack. First, you hit the parasite hard with drugs like albendazole or mebendazole. And because of that tricky auto-infection cycle, you can't just take a few pills. You have to stay on the medication for a long time, usually 20 to 30 days, to make sure you kill every last worm, larva, and egg. But at the same time, and this is just as critical, you have to provide intensive supportive care. Doctors have to pump patients full of fluids, electrolytes, and high-protein nutrition to reverse the damage and basically keep them alive while the medicine does its job.
And don't think for a second this is just a problem over there. Health agencies all over the world are on the lookout. Take the Netherlands, for example. Their National Health Institute, the RIVM, officially classifies Capillaria philippinensis as a Category 2 biological agent. That designation shows just how seriously they take the risk of travelers bringing this infection back home with them. It's a perfect example of how a local disease becomes a global concern.
So, after all that, how do you make sure this never happens to you? Well, the prevention is actually incredibly simple. You just have to break the life cycle. And the single best way to do that is to avoid eating raw or undercooked freshwater fish, period. This is especially true if you're traveling in places where the parasite is common, like the Philippines, Thailand, or Egypt, where some traditional dishes can be a source of transmission. Just cook your fish thoroughly, and you've killed the threat.
But the story doesn't end there. This little parasite is on the move. So let's take a look at how this threat has evolved from that one local outbreak into a global issue that researchers are still tracking very closely today.
You can almost watch it spread on the map. It starts in the Philippines in the 60s. By the 70s and 80s, it's firmly established in neighboring Thailand. Then, in the 90s, it makes a surprising jump and emerges in Egypt. And now, in our modern, interconnected world, cases have popped up sporadically all over the globe. Europe, the Americas, other parts of Asia, usually in people who have traveled to those endemic hotspots. It's become a global tourist.
Of course, as the parasite spreads, science races to keep up. Right now, a lot of research is focused on creating better, faster diagnostic tools, like blood tests that can spot the parasite's footprint. And this is really cool. Ecologists are looking into the role of migratory birds that eat fish. They believe these birds might be the natural, original hosts that are literally flying the parasite to new continents and seeding it in new places.
And that really leaves us with the big, critical question. A parasite that was once written off as a local curse is now a world traveler, hitching rides on both airplanes and in the bellies of birds. The story of Capillaria philippinensis is just this powerful, potent reminder that in our connected world, a health threat anywhere can quickly become a health threat everywhere. The question for the future isn't just how we treat it, but where we need to be ready for it to show up next.
We compiled all the information for this explainer using a Gemini deep search. If you want to dive even deeper into the research, and I don't blame you, it's fascinating stuff, you can find a detailed list of all our sources in the linked Notebook LM document. Hey, if you found this deep dive into a hidden medical threat as interesting as I did, please go ahead and subscribe for more explainers just like this one. We'd love to know, what other microscopic mysteries should we investigate next? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.